Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome into the second edition of the Unash and Dukes podcast here on CRMLiveSports.com and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and wherever else that you can reach us. And we're very happy to have a lot of people reach out to us, let us know that you liked episode number one, and we're back for episode number two. I'm Scott Unash. That's Mark Dukes. That's Mark Ironside underneath, back by popular demand.
I'm here.
And he's the only thing we're missing, Mark Dukes, is the fact that Mark Ironside is not situated between us in the studio so that if you say one wrong thing, that he can strike and take you down with a single leg. Can't do that now in this new way. But Mark, great to have you back, my friend.
Well, I'm just glad you guys were able to put this together and still continue to do this. This is awesome because I know that there's a lot of loyal and local listeners out there on all realms, not just the sport of wrestling for this segment, but on all realms that listen to this show. And I was always amazed by the amount of people that would, communicate with me and tell me and talk to me about how they really enjoyed the show. I just could not believe how many listeners were out there. So kudos to you guys. I'm glad that you guys are still doing this and that Kurt stepped up and is still helping out with this as well too. So that's huge, and big thanks to him.
Yeah, big thanks to Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance on Johnson Avenue Northwest. He's right across from the Johnson Avenue Hy-Vee, very convenient, and he is the sponsor of this particular segment. Big thanks to our presenting sponsor, Emo's Hideaway, as well as always. They're across from Lindale Mall on First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids, and as well, Ben Ritter Sportswear downtown. BimRitter.com for uh, all your screen printing needs and et cetera, et cetera. So we got a lot to cover, Mark and Mark. And that's it. Just two marks. Two marks, no waiting on the program here today. But it's wrestling season. It's also hunting season. You were telling us before we got started here, Mark Ironside. You haven't even been in the stand once. So
I've
I
been
know
in
that's
there a couple times, but nothing
okay.
like normal. Not like normal, just a couple of times in very short segments. I haven't had an all day sit yet this year, and it's probably not going to happen.
Mm, mm, mm. I
Life
know
gets
it's
in the way, work gets in the way this time of year, so it's a good thing, I guess.
The only difference here is that people see our faces. That might be good, that might be bad. But I've told people many times, and they ask me, what's it like Ironside in the studio? And if you can picture it, he was between the two of us, Scott.
yep.
I have to say my left arm probably will not have any bruises in this platform, Mark, but it's great to be back together. Actually, we got back together this summer and played some golf, and it was great. And I have to tell a little story. Mark Ironside rolls up 10 minutes before we tee off. He's scrambling a little bit. We get to the first tee, take a picture. All right. Knocks it off the tee, gets up and down, makes a nice putt for par on the first hole. I said, nice, nice. Second hole, he stiffs it and makes birdie. And I'm thinking to myself, I know we're going to get beat on takedowns today, but come on, Ironside. Well, the rest of the day was kind of up and down like the rest of us, but it was a blast. And I have to tell people, if Mark Ironside was as passionate about golf as he is about wrestling or his business or hunting, uh, he could be a player. The problem is he'd get to the golf course before it opened and he wouldn't have any balls to hit until they got there. But that was great fun, guys.
It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that day, and we're gonna have to make sure we do that again next summer as well, too. So
That's right. With Kurt, we got to bring
yeah, with Kurt.
we got to get him involved in this situation. He's fun on the Kurt's fun at any time, but Kurt's a lot of fun on the golf course. And like you said, Mark, kudos to him for helping us out with this segment again here on the Unash and Dukes podcast. And
I got one thing to add to that. He's trying to give me a bunch of props and kudos about my golf, which was up and down as you saw that day. It was just started on and up. But I haven't played Ellis in years. I didn't know a lot of that stuff was there. Like, who has out of bounds in the middle of the freaking, like, right in the middle of the course? I mean, what the heck? But anyway, Dukes, if you remember, like, I don't know. I don't want to say your age. I don't know your exact age, but I will say this. Your first tee shot wasn't that great. And I'm like, hey,
No.
you get to go up to the senior tees, to the golds up there. Like, why don't you just go hit from up there? You're a senior. That's what seniors do. And Dukes would have absolutely nothing to do with that, and got kind of offended by me even mentioning him going up there to hit from the senior tees. And I tell you what, I gained a lot of respect for him on that first tee box when he did that. So kudos to him. And it wasn't just that tee box; it was all day long that he hit from our boxes with us. So kudos to you, Dukes, and he beat us. He beat us all on the day. I think I don't even know. We played teams, right? Did we play teams? No, we played our own balls. But Dukes was like overall the best golfer on the day. I think. Sneaky good.
I think this UNAS character took us, but it was fun. And no, I'm not moving up to the senior tee. No.
I like that. No, hey, Mark Ironside, that was not the first time he heard that. I said, when we first played this year, I said, are you going to do that? And you said, no, we're not going to do that. So kudos, many kudos to you. All right. Mark, Iowa started the season with your favorite university, Bellarmine. Second straight year that the Hawks and the Fighting Bellarmines, I don't even know what they are, but it really doesn't matter. 40-0 shutout for the Iowa wrestling team, which everyone thought was going to happen. And it did happen anyway. But, good way to start, obviously. Not the toughest opponent in the world, but they had a couple guys that were sneaky good. And Iowa took care of business in that first meet. Your impressions of meet number one?
We started out slow. It started out definitely slow. I mean, getting ridden out for an entire period on the bottom at 97, getting ridden out for an entire period on the bottom at heavyweight. You just, I don't want to knock Bellarmine, and their level of their wrestling and stuff, but you should not be getting ridden for an entire full 2 minutes. I mean, that can't happen. It can't happen. I mean, if you want to win a Big Ten and national title, which is the ultimate goal, and both those guys are capable of doing that, then you can't get ridden for 2 minutes. So I don't know. I think it started out really slow. I don't think that Peterson, our portal transfer in for Rutgers at 125, really wrestled up to par either. Nasir Bailey, our portal transfer in at 41, he didn't really wrestle up to par. Not to bring up golf again, but they got a lot more to offer for sure, no doubt about it. I think I don't know if it was the first time in Carver Hawkeye Arena and they're a little nervous, or what the deal was. But I guess we'll find out this weekend when we go to Oklahoma. But they if they're gonna, be butt kickers and start, working their way up in the rankings, especially with a Big Ten schedule. Which, I mean, Peterson's from Rutgers, so he understands that. But we need to start putting a lot more points on the scoreboard for sure. But Drake Ayala looked amazing. He looked awesome at 133 there. 49 or no, 57. It was that what's his name? The
Jordan Williams.
Yeah, Jordan Williams from transferred in from Arkansas. He lit the crowd up. Big moves and got the fall and he really set the crowd on fire. It was fun to see that. Carver Hawkeye needed that at that point in time. And the thing is, though, he created a spark and right after that, then Caliendo goes out. He works hard, workmanlike. He gets the tech. It was not easy to start with, but he just kept chipping away and finally got the guy to break. He broke the guy and was able to get the tech. Patrick Kennedy gets a tech in the first period, goes out and just absolutely steamrolls him, and then Angelo Ferrari looked really good started a little bit slow, but looked really good towards the end. At 84 as well too. So definitely some room for improvement there, but the first one out of the gate, not too bad. We'll take it. Some guys looked really, really good, and some guys, hopefully they have a lot more to bring than what they did that one night.
Yeah, look at the lineup here, Mark, because some whites obviously are set. Guys like Ayala and Caliendo and down the line, but Tom Brands is going to take 16 wrestlers to Tulsa for whatever reason. That would indicate, obviously, that some weights are up for grabs. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm looking at this as well too, and looking at our projected lineup for this weekend in Oklahoma. I think DeLuca might have an opportunity to see the lineup there at 125 for sure. I haven't seen him wrestle live yet, but I've heard nothing but fantastic things about him. So you'll probably see him wrestle at least once there. Maybe get a crack at that or whatever, and see what he can do. 41, I think you're probably going to see Bailey the whole time unless he gets hurt, then Rhodes might see something. Or 49, I would think that you would see Block a little bit in there, or Voinovich. Probably split some time, but I don't know. I mean, you never know what this early and what Tom's thinking. 57, you got Jordan Williams, but you also have Victor Voinovich as well too. Probably see Williams in there unless he gets hurt or something like that. 65, Caliendo. 74, you got Patrick Kennedy. 84, you got Angelo Ferrari and Gabe Arnold listed. I would assume you're probably just going to see Angelo Ferrari unless Arnold gets hurt. Sorry, you're only probably going to see Ferrari only unless he gets hurt, and then you might see Arnold in there. And then 97, we're only taking Endine, Masoma Endine from who transferred in from Wartburg. I think he's a 3-time national champion at Wartburg, and a lot of falls and pins at Wartburg too, which is exciting. So hopefully you can carry that on over to the Division One. And then a heavyweight, you got Keeter and Gage Marty. It makes me nervous seeing Gage Marty in there. I thought we'd probably just take Keeter, but Keeter's been injured. He's coming off of an injury and a surgery over the off season, and so just maybe to protect that a little bit, maybe they're gonna wrestle Marty a match or two or something there as well too. So I don't know. Tom always travels with quite a few guys, and you never know what you're gonna need at that stiff of competition over a couple of days. So it's good to take extra guys for sure.
Good that I was back in this thing.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, this is interesting. This is very interesting. I think David Taylor is doing something really good here. Exciting. It's exciting for the sport of wrestling, and we're seeing some money involved in the sport. It's kind of like racing a little bit. I mean, that's like what is it? $1.25 million purse and $200,000 to the first place team. I think it is. I got it here somewhere. 200,000 to the first place team. So this is what you can't see on the radio.
they're not splitting this with you and Steven, are they?
No, I don't think Steven and I are gonna. If Iowa wins that $200,000 first place prize purse, I don't think that Steven and I are gonna see anything added to our radio commentary as bonuses. No. But yeah, 200,000 to the first place team, 150,000 to the second place team, I believe. Or no, 120. I got that. Hang on here.
150, yeah.
Is it 150? Yeah, it is 150 to second place. So 200 to first, 150 to second, and then third is 150 as well. Fourth is 75,000, and then fifth is 50,000. Sixth is 40,000. Seventh is 25, and then eighth, and just to show up, is $20,000. So that's awesome. That's impressive. I love to see that. I would assume that goes back to the programs and not distributed through the athletes, but I don't know. With NIL, maybe it is distributed through the athletes. And then the other interesting thing that they're doing that they just came out with, I think last week, is that for the first, what did it say? For the first round, I'll read this to you. I'm sure you guys saw this too, but maybe for the listeners, takedown bonuses will be awarded during the 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. matchups of the opening round, as well as quarterfinals 5 p.m. and the 2 consolation rounds 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. One team will win the $10,000 bonus per round, and a team may win with the bonus in multiple rounds. So I don't know exactly what that means, but it's you basically get a $10,000 bonus for the most takedowns. This is, if you're gonna throw money out there, this is what we can have an entire segment on only about NIL, and I will gladly take time to make that happen. But that's what it should be out. Based on performance, the top performing team with the most takedowns gets a $10,000 bonus. That creates offense. That's exciting, and that's what it should be. So, kudos to whoever's putting up the money and the mastermind behind this. And I think it does nothing but creates excitement and buzz from the fan standpoint. I think it puts money back in these programs' pockets, especially in the sport of wrestling, where there's not a ton of it there anyway. And then it gives the programs even more incentive when you got takedowns. So, whether Tom says, hey, let's get that $10,000, I mean, I don't think he's going to, in the pre-match speech, is really going to put a lot of emphasis on that. But I think just to be aware of it and to make it more offensive and more exciting, and, I don't know how they distribute it. So it's good. I love it. I think it's great.
There's already some debate, Mark, about Penn State. I don't want to start a big battle with Penn State right away, but why not? They have chosen not to participate in the duels. And Cale Sanderson was asked yesterday at Media Day, and he said he's doing what he thinks is best for his team, noting that 6 or 7 guys have recently competed in world championships. Tom Ryan at Ohio State says Penn State should be there. He's shocked that they aren't. What say you?
I can see both sides. I'm not trying to play devil's advocate and play both sides here or whatever. I think that Cale Sanderson is in a position where the rest of the country is pretty much chasing him. And I think, there's some teams closing in. And I don't think that he really wants to play all of his cards right out of the gate, basically the very beginning of the year. I think from a financial standpoint, as I mentioned, wrestling, especially in the sport of wrestling, a lot of these schools could use some money for sure. But Penn State's not really one of them. Penn State has plenty of money in their bankroll, within the NIL system and so forth or whatever. So money's not, you can just take that right out of the equation for Penn State. So I think that Cale Sanderson has done a really good job every single year, obviously, Cale, of setting the schedule that he sets for specific reasons for his athletes. And this type of a competition right out of the gate, in my mind, I think, Cale looks at it doesn't really benefit his team a lot. And so therefore he's not going to participate. The other thing, though, is too, David Taylor being a former Penn State alum and now a head coach at Oklahoma State and nipping at the heels of Penn State, it could be a little rift there, and maybe Cale Sanderson doesn't want to give him the satisfaction of coming there and participating in an event that he's putting on when he's gunning for him, so to speak. So, but at the same time, I think Tom Ryan's right. I think Tom Ryan is probably looking at like, hey, it would be really good for the sport if Penn State was there. I mean, this is the national duels. It's a national tournament. Penn State's the number 1 ranked team, so they should be there. And I think that would even make it more exciting and more fun to watch and more realistic, I think, from a team standpoint. But so I get where he's coming from, but I also see Cale's side as well, too.
Very true. Very true. Again, a big thanks to Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance, our sponsor of this particular segment with Mark Ironside as we talk college wrestling and Hawkeye wrestling and wrestling in general here today on the Unash and Dukes podcast. And you mentioned Penn State, and hey, what's new? They're number 1 on pretty much every poll going in. Nebraska number 2, though, basically in every poll. Iowa, Ohio State, Iowa State. That's kind of your perennial top 5. going into the season. Mark Dukes loves preseason polls. If you haven't figured that out yet, Mark Ironside, he is the world's expert on preseason polls. No, on all seriousness, though, it looks like I don't know. Is it those five that are going to be battling at the top this year going into the season? You think?
I think so. I think those polls, they're based off of last year's points and who's got what coming back. I think then also not only that, I mean, Nebraska had a phenomenal, really, really good Big Tens last year and Nationals both. And then you add the Ferrari brother that's in there, AJ Ferrari, in their heavyweight that they picked up out of the portal. So that adds even more to their team. So, yeah, I think Nebraska is going to be very strong for sure, a national contender, as well as Oklahoma State and Iowa and Ohio State kind of getting down there a little bit too. But Tom Ryan always does a good job with his Buckeyes. So, but yeah, I think those top five would be for sure the guys to look for. And I think National Duels is going to really kind of put some light on kind of where teams are at, as long as you don't base it off of the team standings afterwards, like who wins it. Well, you might not have the full lineup in there. Some guys might not have their full lineup in there, so you can't really base it off that team performance. Or it's early in the year, they haven't had too many weigh-ins in or whatever, but it'll be a really good measuring stick to see where we're at, obviously, with a lot of these big teams. And it's going to be an exciting tournament for this weekend for sure.
Yeah, let's look at this tournament Saturday and Sunday in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the national duels. You can hear it on 800 KXIC. We can say that now, Scott.
Yeah, we can. We can say that. Actually, Hawkeye Sports. You know what's awesome about the radio now is we were just talking about this last Thursday at the dual meet, is that it's not just 800 AM anymore, and you got to be within 30 miles radius to listen to it. If you go to Hawkeye Sports and you can dial in there, iHeartRadio, I mean, we get people that tune in all over the country and the world for that matter. Like during the Big Tens and Nationals, someone's traveling overseas and they're tuning in and listening in. So I'm amazed. That's one good thing. I'm not a big technology type person, but from that standpoint, it's really exploded the listeners from our standpoint for Steven and I for sure. But it's also live. All the rounds are going to be live on Flow Wrestling, and with the finals be on any ESPN too.
Well, Iowa opens against Missouri. Ohio State is also in the upper bracket, and the bottom bracket could see Nebraska if Iowa and Nebraska reach the finals. So.
Yeah, I mean, you got Oklahoma State's the number 3 seed, Nebraska's the number 2 seed. So that's going to be, if that plays out right there, that's going to be a really good. Or no, Oklahoma State is the 4, Ohio State's the 2 or 3 there. So you got Nebraska and Ohio State technically going to be in the semis. Oklahoma State and Iowa technically going to be in the semis. That's how they have the bracket played out to be here. So Iowa wrestles Missouri, and then here's interesting too. Iowa wrestles Missouri at 9 a.m. on Saturday, and then the quarterfinals are at 5 p.m. on Saturday, and most likely Iowa will wrestle Illinois, and that'll be a big matchup at 133 pounds. It'll be a rematch of the Big Ten and National Finals with Drake Ayala versus Lucas Bird of Illinois. So that's 1 versus 2 right now. And then the semifinals, which would be Sunday at 10 a.m., would be Iowa versus most likely Oklahoma State. And with the final starting at 6 p.m. on Sunday, let's see what happens there. But yeah, Arizona State's here, Michigan's here, Lehigh, Nebraska, Ohio State, Wyoming, Virginia Tech, and Minnesota are here. Northern Iowa versus North Carolina State right out of the gate. So Doug Schwab and company will be here. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting and fun tournament to watch.
It is. And what about Doug Schwab and UNI this year? What do you expect out of the Panthers? Other than the fact they're not going to wrestle Iowa.
Yeah, let's not even get into that.
I see Mark Dukes. I baited him on that one.
Maybe one of these years we'll see that happen. But that's above our pay grade. But Parker Keckheisen, he's graduated, so they don't have Parker in the lineup. Carter Got Carter. Cale Happel's graduated, so they don't have him in the lineup, and then a couple others. But they're going to have a team to be reckoned with again. I don't think they're going to be as good as what they were last year. They had a really, really good team last year, and it were a lot of fun to watch. But I don't think that aspect's going to change. I think they're still going to be really fun to watch, and I'm glad that they're going to the national duels. This is big for UNI, and that's a tournament I think that they were invited to, and I'm glad that they're going. So, and then it's really nice too, especially for a school like that, to 20,000 just to show up. That 20,000 is huge for a program like Northern Iowa and Doug Schwab.
One question back to the lineup, Mark, and we talked a bit about it among ourselves on the golf course about Gabe Arnold and a bit of a dust up during the summertime. Whatever happened there, he's back on the team, but may face a tough time breaking into the lineup. What do you see for Gabe Arnold this year?
Like you said, he's going to have a tough time making the lineup. I don't know what's going to happen there. There's, like you said, there was a dust up there. He was basically kicked off the team and then came back for, I don't know exactly the ins and outs, but Tom had him come back and allowed him to come back. And I think Gabe realized that, hey, this is where I need to be and want to be. And so started probably doing things right, like how Tom wanted them done and how was expected of not just Gabe Arnold, but how was expected of the entire team. And now he's going in every day and trying to make the team, whether what that consists of if he has to just sit there and wait until Angelo Ferrari gets hurt, and if he would get hurt and that's how he gets in, or if he gets a wrestle off at some point, maybe split some time here at this tournament. I don't know. So your guess is as good as anybody else's, but I do know that Angelo Ferrari and Patrick Kennedy at 74 and 84 have done everything right and just phenomenal kids and just great work ethics on and off the mat. And so I think they're pretty solid in their positions. But what happens for Gabe, I don't know.
We got a little while before it happens, but this is going to be the best Iowa State duel in a long, long time when it comes around.
People keep talking about it, and I really don't know what to expect out of Iowa State. I have not looked at their lineup. I know that they lost 90% of their team 2 years ago, but then last year they brought all kinds of guys in from the portal. And I mean, that's the thing with this portal and stuff. I just don't know what to expect and how these guys are going to be and how they're going to perform at a different school. And but in the end of the day, I think this duel between Iowa and Iowa State, it always is. It's super exciting. I know that Coach Kevin Dresser is going to put all of his eggs into one basket, and this is the biggest thing on the season for them, and this is what's circled. Sometimes I think that Kevin Dresser would rather win this duel than the national tournament itself. I mean, this basically is like a national duel, national tournament, type of atmosphere there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. There's no doubt. I look for Hilton Coliseum to pretty much be sold out, with the majority being Iowa State fans there. And those Iowa State fans are really, really hungry for a victory over Iowa, and they would love to be able to do it at home in Hilton Coliseum. How many years has it been? I don't even know. I mean, we knew last year when it comes time, it'll come out, but it's been a lot.
Couple decades.
A lot of meetings since they've won last, and those Iowa State fans, they would love nothing more than to knock off the Hawkeyes in Hilton Coliseum.
Let's talk about Iowa's schedule for a little bit. And Tom Brands in the media day said he arguably said he wanted somebody to run the metrics. Toughest schedule in the country. And really, it's hard to argue because Iowa wrestles 4 teams that right now are ranked in the top 6, all on the road. Now, Iowa does get Penn State at home, has to go to Iowa State, has to go to Nebraska, has to go to Ohio State, has to go to Oklahoma State. And meanwhile, Penn State wrestles nobody in the preseason. Maybe doesn't have to. It does have to come to Iowa and wrestles Nebraska and Ohio State, but it's a pretty tough slate for the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, well, That's kind of what you want. I mean, you got to go through the gauntlet at the national Big Tens and the nationals, so it's good preparation throughout the season. And it's just kind of how the schedule falls. I mean, that's what happens when you wrestle in the Big Ten as well. You know, you can't hide from it. So you can't hide from competition if you're wrestling in the Big Ten, nor do you want to. And that's why a lot of athletes, honestly, choose, to go and compete at a Big Ten school versus another school, just because of the competition level, and it prepares them more for that postseason. It gives them a better chance and opportunity to be prepared for that, the conference tournament, and then also the national tournament, which is what matters the most. So I think that a lot of these other Big Ten schools have, really tough schedules as well. But I think Tom is right in that Iowa and our schedule is probably the toughest, just because there's so many of them on the road and away. And I personally, and I mean, you love Carver Hawkeye Arena. I mean, our fans, as everybody says, they're the best fans in the country, and they really, really are. And you loved wrestling Carver Hawkeye Arena, and it never gets old, and you never take it for granted. But there's just something to be said for sometimes when you go on the road in an extremely, extremely hostile environment. It's jam-packed. You're Iowa wrestling, so there's no other team in the country that any other school loves to beat more and loves to hate more than Iowa. You're always going to get their best. So I think just being on the road in those hostile environments, that's when I really honestly wish I still had some eligibility left, is when you get into situations like that, and you wish you could just go out and, perform. So I love those positions. And so I look forward to this season and going into those places. And then I hope the rest of the team follows suit and we show up and dominate and go home.
Hey, before we let you go here, Nationals in Cleveland. I couldn't remember if that was good or not good. You like Cleveland? And if
They
you
got a
when
good
you go
bowling
to
alley there.
Cleveland, go to the Christmas Story House.
I don't know anything about the Christmas Story House, but I will say that I was there. I don't remember how long ago, but they have, you guys would appreciate this. They have a really, really good bowling alley.
Oh,
Um, right across the street from the hotel where we stayed was the bowling alley, and it was kind of like a restaurant bowling alley. And this was years ago, but Steven and Bobby Telford and myself and Josh Schomburger from the Iowa City Area Sports Commission, and then Danny Olza, Coach Gable's son-in-law, we had we went over there every day, even between sessions, and we just had absolute a ball. We had so much fun over there bowling every day. It was a blast, and well, I mean, I could tell you stories. We don't even have time right now, but it was fun. So I hope we're in the same hotel across from the bowling alley. That's all I remember about Cleveland.
great
And
downtown.
and so that was 2006. No, that was 2017, because the Cubs had just won the World Series right there. We were wrestling in right across from where the Cleveland Indians play, which is where the Cubs, won the World Series that night. And I remember walking in there and looking at that field and thinking, this is where it happened, and just how cool and how awesome that was. It just happened, the previous year. So I was previous fall. So I do remember that as well too.
There you go. All right. Well, safe travels to Oklahoma, man.
All right. I appreciate it. Wheels up, I think at 1 o'clock. Mariah Marinelli's got me on strict orders to make sure I'm there on time all the time, plenty early. So
Don't make him
you got to
angry.
know Iowa time. If it says wheels up, you got to be like plane leaves at 1, even though it's like, we're not flying commercial. But if she says to whatever time she tells you to be there, that means we have to be there a half an hour before that, even, because Tom's schedule, he is always early, like half an hour early. So don't be late.
Don't be late.
You don't want the whole team of Tom sitting on the plane waiting for you to show up, and then you got to do the walk of shame to the back of the plane to find your seat. You don't want that.
All
And
right,
as
my
you
man.
know from the golf course that day, I can be late once in a while.
You were
But
right on time.
I was right on time. Just
And you
walked out.
mentioned you would be in trouble if it was, a day that there was a wrestling meet. You would have been in trouble. So you
I
did
did.
mention it to us.
Yeah.
But good to have you back, my friend.
All right. Good having me back. Thank you very much. I look forward to another awesome season. I'm glad we can keep it going, boys.
Thanks,
All
Mark.
right. Thanks,
All right.
Mark. And big thanks to Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance on Johnson Avenue Northwest in Cedar Rapids, right across from the Johnson Avenue High V. All right, couple more things before we depart. And we'll say goodbye to Mark. Bye,
All
Mark.
right, I'm gonna get out, boys. We'll see ya.
All right. There we are. The two amigos back with you here. But a couple things to get to before we close up shop here today. Number one, college basketball on the men's side has been great so far. Great to see these games between top 25 teams, even though I'm not a big fan of the quad and the net and all that business, and to have them on campuses too, for the most part, like Gonzaga, Oklahoma, Gonzaga, and Creighton, Illinois, Texas Tech. Illinois looked good. Stojakovic's kid. By the way, who gets shown more? Caitlin Clark at her pro-am or Stojakovic in the crowd at Illinois?
I think it's still Caitlin Clark.
I think it's still Caitlin Clark. I think Golf Channel is still showing that at this present time. But these games are taking 2.5 hours, Mark. College basketball does not need to take 2.5 hours. Holy cow. It's
Timeouts,
fun. I'm the biggest fan.
I know, timeouts, replays, whatnot. There has been some pretty good matchups. Louisville, Kentucky was really good. Michigan State, Arkansas was really good. Iowa's going to get a shot with Xavier. Iowa State handled Mississippi State very easily. So we're going to get into a lot more meaningful games here pretty quickly.
Iowa State's win up in Sioux Falls against Mississippi State was pretty impressive. If Taman Lipsey plays like that, and I know he's coming off the injury, but if Taman Lipsey plays that well, Iowa State could win the Big 12 pretty easily. I know it's tough.
Well, there's Houston. Houston is there.
Yeah.
You're not going to get 25 out of Taman every night, but he doesn't have to score 25 for Iowa State. You know as well as anybody what Taman Lipsey adds to this team. Quality point guard. He gets 12, 15, 18 points a game. Terrific, but he does so much more for him than that.
Yeah. He does. Assist guy, defense. And Iowa State played really good defense the other night. Good to see Wags on the sideline. Former Kirkwood AD and coach Doug Wagamaster and others. So, and Chris Jans, but don't get to see Mississippi State a whole bunch. So that was kind of nice to see. And kind of a sad note here as we go transition from college basketball to the high school basketball, girls basketball starting this week. As far as practice is concerned, boys will start next week. But Jeff Linder, our friend of the Gazette, really sad news that 3 teams are not going to be able to field varsity teams this year. On our side of the state, I'm sure there's more around the state of Iowa. Unfortunately, you hear of smaller schools that at times may not have the personnel to put out a full varsity team, and that's the case with Central City and Starmont this year. But to have one like West Delaware, that shocked a lot of people. To have a 4A/3A team, depending on what year it is, not have enough personnel to field a varsity team, and this is alarming a little bit. And Jeff did a nice piece on it last year for the Gazette, and I know people have asked him to do a follow-up with it this year. But I'll ask you this, Mark. A lot of people in the comments section said it's time for Iowa to adopt what other states are adopting, and that is to allow 8th graders, if they are needed, to play. I don't know. Is that the answer? Because if you have a team that's going to be subpar, do you want to really throw really young players into this situation, no matter if it's women's or men's basketball or whatever the sport may be? Yeah, you can play a game, but what's it going to do to their psyche?
It may help. 8th graders may help. But according to Jeff Linder's reporting, the survey that was done last July, which I know you're aware of, pointed to 2 reasons that participation in girls basketball is down 38% in the last 16 years, from 10,000 down to a little over 6,000 participants in Iowa right now. Number one is the conflict with club volleyball. And number two is the difficulty of the sport. Hey, there's a lot of running
It's not
in
fun.
basketball. There's not as much running in volleyball. And I don't know. We'd have to talk to somebody more expert than at least myself in that regard. But I find that interesting that another sport is having that much impact on another.
Yeah. Yeah, true. And I think with the addition of girls wrestling as well, that's also
Yeah.
taken some individuals away. Just the newness and the fact that there are girls that have wrestled out there at younger ages. It's sad. It's sad, but I think it's kind of be a reality more and more as we go through the high school sports here in the near future. But we'll be back on Friday. We'll preview Iowa USC and talk some college football coming up in our next podcast. But big thanks to Emil's Hideaway and Kurt Gustafson Agency and Bim Ritter. And without them, we couldn't do this, Mark. And thanks to Mark Ironside as well for joining us.
Exactly. Look forward to looking at the weekend ahead on Friday, Scott.
All right. Talk to you then.
Got it.
All right. Hope you enjoyed it. Back coming up on Friday with our next edition of the Unash and Dukes podcast. Thank you for joining us. And so long, everybody.